And we are live once again on this very dismal Friday. Sorry you can't see our pretty faces, but we're doing things remotely, and we finally figured out a good setup after much deliberation. I am your host, Corey, aka the Curator, joined with
AC, everybody.
the man, the myth, the legend.
The father.
Yeah, you remember Kids Next Door and Creepy Father?
Mm-hmm.
I've had it up to here with you kids next door. Who was that? Who did that voice? It sounded very familiar.
Oh man. That's such a throwback. Um yeah, I can hear it in my head.
Kids Next Door Father. It's getting right into the Google wormholes today. We ain't playing around. I didn't even bring any topics. We've done probably 3 of these today with varying results, none of them satisfactory. So we've kind of blown through all of our topics today. So excuse the low energy, excuse sort of the meanderingness of this episode. Benedict Father Uno is the arch nemesis of the KND and the main antagonist of the series. Oh man, so many throwbacks. So many throwbacks, dude. That was kind of like the
Oh yeah.
last little era of oh whoa, got some weird ad music that I cannot exit out of. Goodness, I hope that did not broadcast. So this is from the fandom. There is a whole KND wiki. It's called the Code Module. That's cute. That's cute. But yeah, this is sort of the last era of Cartoon Network for me. I might have even been a little too old for Cartoon Network when I watched this, but I was too old for Cartoon Network. I mean, I still watch Cartoon Network. I mean, it's Adult
That's,
Swim.
that was still the era when Teen Titans was still good too. So
Teen
I mean, and
Titans.
that was Cartoon Network.
Yeah, that's true. Teen Titans. Oh man, I've been showing Becca that recently. Like, so many like, oh my god, their version of Deathstroke, I think, is the best version of Deathstroke like I've ever seen.
Agreed. I love their Deathstroke. Their Slade was just on point. And of course, it was voiced by Ron Perlman.
Oh, that's right. That's another very familiar voice. Speaking of, who the fuck did Jeff? No. Hmm. Oh, Maurice LaMarche. He doesn't have a link. Maurice LaMarche, Canadian voice actor. Oh, he did Brain from Pinky and the Brain. That's why he's so familiar. That's
He
why he's so
also
familiar.
did Big Bob from Hey Arnold.
Okay, Big Bob. Yeah. Wait, who was Big Bob in Hey Arnold?
Helga G. Pataki's father.
Oh, that's right, Big Bob. That's right. That's right. And with her drunk mother, wasn't that kind of uncomfortable? And wasn't her father like kind of low key abusive, like suburban abusive?
Yeah, yeah. There, I
That's
mean that show. Well, if you think about it, that show was full of a lot of undertones like that.
what's another example of one?
Um, well, let's see. You've got the way the kids bully the other kids. There's constantly fat shaming with that one bully.
Fat shame. That's
Um,
right.
and then there was the stoop kid. That was that was big. Got a
What was going
three-part
on with this?
episode.
What was it going on with him? Like I knew it was something psychological, but what was it?
If I'm not mistaken, I believe it was some form of agoraphobia.
Oh right, yeah, those motherfuckers that are afraid to go outside and shit. Yeah.
Hmm.
Oh man, that's right, dude. Yeah, that show was pretty gritty for like a children, but it's based in like that gritty '80s New York.
Yeah, yeah. And it also had a lot of like '90s undertones as well.
Sure. Yeah.
throughout, especially the style that it was
Yeah.
created in.
Yeah, Arnold's flannel being one of them. His flannel plaid skirt shirt. Everyone
Yeah, it's
always
tied
goes.
around his waist that you could never see the tie.
Yeah, yeah. So, yeah. So, Kids Next Door also had sort of like some of those undertones too, because the father, man, he's like sort of this aristocratic, and I guess from his name, like Uno, he was supposed to be the original number one, maybe, because they all had like code numbers and stuff.
Hmm.
Fascinating, fascinating. So, like the I don't know if it's like within the universe or this is just what the fandom has come up with, but he has two forms. He has his suit form. Father's body is completely black with a red outline along his body and eyebrows, giving him a silhouette like appearance with few other discernible features, the most notable among them being his bright yellow eyes, which often are exaggerate. I don't know what happened with that word, since his eyes are the only way of visually seeing his facial expression. Yeah. So like with the eyebrows, it's sort of. I think that's a reference to like when like like a mad dad, like his eyebrows start being his way of like communicating. He's not really verbalizing. It's, but when he's in his plain form, it looks like he looked like a nerd, which I don't even remember getting to this point of Kids Next Door. I guess I opted out at that point.
Yeah, where he looks almost like the dad from Dexter's Laboratory.
He kind of does, yeah. He kind of does. He reminds me more of like a nerd from Revenge of the Nerds. Like he looks like, but with the
Yeah, I
with
definitely.
the pipe, he definitely looks like, yeah. He's like got suspenders and dress shoes and like, yeah. So in Operation Zero, okay, so I think that was like a prequel type thing. Father, as young Benedict Uno, was very cowardly and obedient, scared of his father. Oh my god. Grandfather. I gotta look this one up. Does he have a suit form that looks really creepy too? I wonder.
Grandfather.
Oh shit, he looks like a big old monster. He looking like a big
Oh,
old monster. And it doesn't even show like his people form. Fascinating. Fascinating. Man, who knew Kids Next Door had such a like deep like mythology to it?
oh yeah. Well, a lot of those shows have a real deep mythology to it.
Oh yeah, we've been jumping back down Adventure Time, speaking of.
Hmm. And that one's got not just a wild backstory, but the creation of it's even wild.
Of Adventure Time?
Hmm.
How do you mean? What was the creation?
Well, I just know of talking about like the voice actors and the way that they planned on using the kid throughout and aged thin with the
Mm-hmm.
kid and that whole premise.
Yeah. Oh, that's
So
true.
essentially, the kid was raised as a character.
Yeah. Interesting. Interesting.
Which don't get me wrong, I mean it worked. It obviously worked. The show does great.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. Man. So, let's see here. Yeah, I just got lost down this Kids Next Door. Like, that's interesting. That's interesting. Adventure Time I always liked sort of it's post-apocalyptic, right?
I believe so.
Like there's implications like cuz they have those zombie monsters that have like that green goo coming out of them, and that's like it's like radiation or whatever. It's like fallout. And then, there's no humans left, and like there's implications that part of it is the mutation and part of it is like this magic that was unleashed from the Ice King, who was a professor. Spoilers for Adventure Time, everybody. He was like he wanted to be a wizard. He was like some sort of historian that got into the occult, and he unleashed this magic, and there's like the spirit of creation that created the candy creatures, the candy kingdom, and all these like lighter things in hopes of making like a more benevolent society and shit. And Man, and then you got forces like Marceline, who's like this vampire daughter of the devil kind of thing. That's man, yeah.
Well, from what
Adventure
I'm
Time.
looking at right now, it almost looks like Adventure Time is based after a nuclear war.
Mm-hmm.
It's saying Pendleton Ward, the creator of Adventure Time, has stated both in interviews and in frequently asked question pages that the land of Ooh is actually a post-apocalyptic Earth, the result of a global disaster called the Mushroom War.
Wow. Wow. The Mushroom War, that's right. That's right. Which to kids sounds like, it's the war of some sort of mushrooms, but we know mushroom clouds.
Equal up to nuclear fallout.
Yeah. Yeah, those are the mushrooms. Man. Dude, and isn't that a thing with SpongeBob too? Like
Mm-hmm.
Bikini Atoll was the place of like one of the first nuclear incidences, and every now and then they'll show like when something crazy dramatic happens, they'll like go up to the island and like looks like there's like an explosion or whatever.
Yeah, the only thing when you're thinking about SpongeBob that you got to take into consideration is you remember the first SpongeBob movie.
Yeah,
Okay,
I think so.
so
With
while you
Hasselhoff,
can,
David Hasselhoff.
yeah, that one. So you can up to that point, you can say that, and it makes sense. But then
Mhm.
once you get into that movie, you got, of course, David Hasselhoff, and then there's a lot of the Baywatch jokes that they make there.
Yeah.
And then he ends up in a harbor and then on a dock where there's a fisherman in there who is obviously doing some taxidermy stuff.
Hmm.
I mean, you could still potentially say that there was nuclear fallout,
Hmm.
basically just looking at the quote
Yeah.
unquote ruin of
Yeah.
this bait shop.
Right. Right.
Or
It.
it could still be just, a dirty old bait shop.
Yeah. It. Well, and I don't think like the implication is like the whole world's gone or anything. It's just like the radiation from that missile test like created those animals, and like enough time has passed, like it's not as irradiated around there anymore. But yeah, like what is everyone doing on Bikini Atoll in the SpongeBob movie? No one's there, right?
Mm-mm, mm-mm. Hmm, not 100% sure. I
Yeah.
do know uh, in a recent article that I read about it, um, some of Bikini Bottom is actually created from pollution as well.
Oh, I could see
So,
that.
like if you see a lot of the buildings and structures are made from things that have fallen into the ocean. Like a lot of
Oh,
the homes
right,
are
right.
Cadillac converters from the back of exhaust pipes.
Yeah, yeah.
And I don't know if you knew this, but the Krusty Krab is actually a crab trap,
Right, that's true. I always knew that, but I never thought about the implication of that.
which is like it's a money trap. I
Yeah,
think that's part of the satirical joke they were using there.
I could see that. I could see that. Sorry, my levels keep drifting, so I'm putting them up, putting up them levels. Yeah. Ooh, ah, ooh, ah.
Oh, I used to be able to do that, but
Oh,
now
oh,
that was pretty good.
oh, oh. Ooh, ah, ooh, ah. It's hard to do it loud like he does. You can't really do it loud like he does.
Yeah, it's hard, especially with that higher tenant that he has there towards the end of the ah.
Ooh, ah.
But there's a reason why he became famous after that.
Yeah, because I mean he's the man.
Yeah, he's David.
Is that his name?
Yeah,
I'm not. I'm not. I mean, I never got super into Disturb. I like Disturb. I ain't got no problems with Disturb. I ain't got no
yeah.
problems with them. They're good.
David Dremen.
David Drimmon. Okay, I knew that. I think I knew that. All right. So we got into some cartoon mythology. We got into yeah. Been going for 15 minutes. It's pretty good. Pretty good start. Pretty good start. So oh, you've been telling me you've been watching movies since you got the house clear. Yeah, let's do some catching up and stuff. What's going on with you?
Okay, so of course, me and the dog have watched the new installment of the Halloween series. The
So is that
Halloween.
this? I meant to ask. Is that the second Rob Zombie one?
No, it's the continuation that they did in 2018. The one we saw in
Hold
theaters.
up. There's another one. I didn't
Yeah.
know that.
What?
I didn't know there was a new one.
It came out in 2018.
Well, the first one did, right?
Yeah.
But when did this new one come out?
No, I watched the new. I didn't watch the new one. The new one it was supposed to come out this month, but it because of the
Oh,
pandemic, it got pushed back to
so you're like,
2021.
fuck it, I'll just watch this one again.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I like that one. I like that one. I don't know how I feel about another one. I'm not totally against it if they come up with a good idea for it. I just
Well, there's not just one. It's going to be Halloween Kills 2021 and Halloween Ends in 2022.
I'm hoping they do like Season of the Witch again.
Season of the Witch. Now, I think that one actually got so much flack because I don't know if you knew this or not, but originally they wanted to do the Halloween series as an anthology, almost like
Yeah.
American Horror Story.
Yeah, and I'm
But
down for that. I'm down for that.
but because so many fans were going into it looking for a Michael Myers movie,
Mhm.
hash and slash, that
Mhm.
they just didn't want to go see it when they found out that he wasn't going to be in it.
Mm.
Now, I mean, the movie quality, as far as the film aspect of it, it's probably lower key, lower quality than the first Halloween movie was, and it was low budget movie.
Yeah.
And that was the thing that got a lot of people later. But I
Mm.
mean, it still has a pretty decent cult following. It's not a bad movie per se, as long as you can get past the effects and detail of the movie itself.
I the only thing I didn't like about it, and mind you, I haven't seen it in like 10, 15 years, but
Mm,
what I didn't like about it was I felt like the implication was that this is what's going on with Michael Myers' mask. But then they they show within the movie, like on a TV, the first Halloween movie is playing.
right,
So it's
and
like it breaks the world.
exactly, and that was another thing that a lot of people just hated about it. That the first two movies were fictional, and this is the real world.
Yeah, and it's just like, what? You're telling me some wizard, some cyber wizard, put some chips and some masks that take over people's brains, and
Yeah, the Silver Clover, I think.
yeah, which
Yeah.
I mean, as a kid, it freaked me out. I thought it was spooky, and parts of it funny, parts of it scary, just as a kid. But what I just didn't like there, there is the implication that this is what's going on with Michael Myers' mask, but also this isn't the same world as Michael Myers, because
Yeah.
the mystery is like why suddenly like this kid that seems kind of normal puts on this mask and sees his sister fucking or something, and that drives him crazy and whatever, which is why I did respect what Rob Zombie was trying to do. He was trying to say, like, look, this isn't going to just happen to some kid in the suburbs. To make a monster like this, they got to grow up in an environment for a monster. This is a monstrous environment. Here's the kid. It was.
Well, there's also some implications throughout the series, and it's actually in the new one. They kind of touch on it a little bit more so,
Mhm.
but he has a psychological disorder that essentially makes the real world not real to him, and somehow in his mind at 6 years old, it created this thought process that killing people is just what he wants to do. And that's why it's so random, why
Yeah,
there's no real rhyme or reason as to what his motives are.
I could see that. I could see that. Like, yeah, because I
Now,
mean, like, that's kind of like Dahmer, like Jeffrey Dahmer. Like, they couldn't really find anything with him that, like, you know, determines that he would do this. Like, well, like, like it just there either had to be some piece of the puzzle missing that no one will ever have, or but they couldn't really figure out what was going on with it. Like, there wasn't the trauma. There wasn't really, like, you look at like a brain scan of Charlie Manson or Ted Bundy, like they, it's off the charts or whatever. But with Jeffrey Dahmer, there might have been some anomalies or something, but they just couldn't figure out, you know, like like there was nothing. Most of those people, they have like an inciting event, something that incites them, like some motivation or something. Like, is it like really, like, is homosexual so sexuality is like so deep closeted that it create, like, it doesn't make any sense. It is, but in the, Michael Myers, like that, like that's, yeah, like that would make it even scarier and more mysterious as to, the psychologist, or what was the psychologist in the movie. He's like
oh,
like like very like
well, if you
yeah.
remember, in the earlier series, the psychologist was like, "Oh, he's a monster. He
He's a
must be
monster.
stopped."
Hmm.
But then the Loomis, that was his name,
Loomis, that's his name. That's right. Dr.
and then
Loomis.
his protege, which I won't get into too much of it, but his protege in the new one had a completely different opinion of why Michael does what he does, and it kind of creates an even bigger monster, I think. Again, without giving too much detail of the new one. But another aspect that I was, and since I watched the movie, of course, I went into the rabbit hole reading more about it
Yeah.
again. But in the first movie, it's not implied that Lori is Michael's sister. It's not until the second one
Oh,
where they say that
right.
she was, originally his sister, but she was given up for adoption, and that's what's fueling him to keep going and not die and kill people. But then
Yeah.
everyone's like, well, I mean, if he's only going after her, I mean, I'm really not that scared, so I don't have anything to worry about. So then, I think it was the fifth or sixth one. They're just like, they're not related. No, they're not related. Not at all.
Yeah. Yeah. Which I always
But I
thought that
mean,
was an interesting wrinkle to it all.
yeah. But if you think about the way that these movies go, well, it's like every 10 years they change up a certain aspect of the story,
Hmm.
yet it's still in the same universe,
Yeah.
but it
Yeah.
completely ignores any of the previous stories.
Yeah, most horror universes just kind of have that it's like comic books 30, 40 years ago.
Hmm.
There's that nature that everything is kind of flexible. It's very rubber, and because it's all about, like, they don't, or at least they used to not really give a fuck about people that did like a deep dive. They'd be like, whatever. It's like, it's a
Right, you're not
movie.
watching
It's,
this movie to learn a story. You're watching this movie to watch some crazy slasher go cut somebody open.
yeah, usually a nude woman.
Yeah, well, the 70s and 80s, 90s.
Yeah.
Not as much now, if you really dive down into the horror scene, not really.
Yeah,
Well, if you
yeah.
think about the even the Halloween movies back then, there was a lot of that going on. The new one, there isn't.
Huh. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, things have kind of changed, I guess, right?
Yeah, but I mean, I suppose that happens with the evolution over time.
Right. Right. Yeah. Do you think horror movies are about to move into the multiverse thing? You think the Necroverse is going to move to the big screen?
It should, honestly, because I mean, honestly, everything goes back to that freaking Necronomicon, man.
Always, always. I wonder if there's been like a comic that reveals that the silver shamrock is. Excuse everybody. My cat is yelling at me. She didn't like that the door was closed. Studio cat. We got a studio cat. All right. So what was it saying? Oh, the silver shamrock scientist, that mad scientist wizard. He had a copy of the Necronomicon, and the Michael Myers mask was the first mask, and they put that, and like it got lost in the book somehow or something. It's like,
Well, I mean, as an interesting point as that is, if you remember from the movie, he does have an ancient Sumerian book. They don't go into
oh,
what exactly the book is. I think they do show it, but not in depth.
I'd like to. Yeah, let me Google that real quick. Let me do a little Goog on that.
Because, I mean, everybody who's a fan of horror movies knows, there's the creation, or it's again got to be speculation because it's not actually been confirmed. But Jason Voorhees was brought back via the Necronomicon, which did exist in one of the
Yeah,
movies, but the creators have neither confirmed or denied whether that's what was used to bring him back or not, or if it was just there.
right. Let me look it up. Necronomicon Halloween. We need to see what that brings up. Here's how to make your own Necronomicon.
Oh, that's good.
That
Everybody
is
needs one
pretty
of
cool.
those.
That's pretty cool. Oh, dude, there's some cool remakes. So let me see. Necronomicon Halloween, Michael Myers. Evil Dead 2013, Fit for Halloween, or Trumped by Michael Myers. Why the Necronom Ex Mortis was present. Huh? Like, that's not a complete sentence. Sometimes people write these sentences in these little blurbs. They ain't even. Evil
I
Dead
can't
2013.
complete my thought.
Oh, the Evil Dead 2013. That's the remake. Ooh,
Yeah,
the 2013
that's.
Book of Evil. It didn't even have a face on it. It kind of had a face like the Sorting Hat face.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but you got to remember that one's supposed to be a a multiverse inclusion into the
Yeah,
Evil Dead franchise.
that's right. That's right. Um. So yeah, it looks like Jason Goes to Hell was the one that implied that Michael or no, that Jason Voorhees was a deadite, and the director confirmed it in 2017, and that the dialogue may have also referenced Michael Myers.
Now, if we think, you remember the creation of the Dynamite graphic novel was Freddy versus Jason versus Ash.
Mm-hmm.
which is where that story really started getting its ramp up, because Dynamite wasn't a part of the same universe that created Jason. He was just brought into it. And then that's what started Jason, or Freddy versus Jason, the series, the
Yeah,
movie.
that's right.
And then that's what led into, which I think Jason Goes to Hell was that the 90s,
Yeah, it was like
or was that the
99.
late 80s?
It was like
99?
yeah, I think. John for little ship. Jason Voorhees goes to hell. I'm sorry, I was way off. That was 1993.
90. See, I was thinking it was much because you had Jason X in
That's right.
99.
That's
So I
right.
was like, oh, wait.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm seeing right here killermovies.com, Ash Williams versus Michael Myers. That's
Well, that would
uh
never happen.
on the way to the cabin, Ash gets a call from a lawyer. Turns out Ash is a long lost relative of the Myers clan. The lawyer requests his presence in Haddonfield to fill out some paperwork regarding his inheritance. Michael has been bugging the lawyer. The lawyer's calls, obviously, and is expecting his new relative. Ash shows up to meet the lawyer and check out his new property, the Myers house. While inside, he meets Michael. Who wins? First scenario, Evil Dead 2 Ash versus Reboot Michael. Second scenario, Army of Darkness Ash versus Preboot Michael. I like this. This is actually from a forum. This is
Yeah, I was
from.
about to say, because I've never seen them actually
I
face
was
off.
burying. Yeah, he's like, Jesus Christ! What issue is that? What
I
issue
was
is that?
thinking, too, like, how did I miss this?
This is a post from Thanos Prime on killermovies.com in their forum under Movie Versus Forum. But I like this. I like this. I want to hear your take on these scenarios. So first scenario, Evil Dead 2 Ash. So he just got the um what hand does he have in that one? Does he
Well, he loses his hand in Evil Dead 2.
okay.
So it gets possessed, and that's at the end of the movie. That's where he lops it off the wrist.
Yes. Yeah. So it's that he recently lost his hand Ash versus the reboot Michael, the Rob Zombie Michael.
Okay, I could dig that. That would be a hardcore fight.
What's your take on it? What happens?
Well, let's see. He doesn't have. Does he have his chainsaw?
I guess he just put it on, but he's rusty with it, and the chainsaw is
Mhm.
probably rusty
Well,
too.
he's also going to be all bumbly because he hasn't gotten used to the weight and all that.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's right.
Man, and a lot of what happens with Ash comes from luck more so than it does skill. Since he's the
That's a good
chosen one,
point.
he's got the whole luck of the chosen one on his side, which they kind of go into throughout a lot of the series.
And reboot Michael is just a dude, so he's not
Yeah,
really much of a deadite in that one. In this one, he's kind of not really a deadite yet, I guess, or his mask doesn't have the special power, um,
yeah, I
because he
would
does his
think.
shit without the mask for that little bit.
Yeah, that's right. So I would think, honestly, in that scenario, being Ash the way he is, he probably would win that scenario.
Mm, yeah,
I would say he's going to get knocked around pretty hard because Michael's still
he's still
huge.
he's jacked. He's jacked and he's
But
white trash.
if we remember what happened in both Halloween zombie reboots, Michael was killed.
Hmm.
So the first one, he was shot, if you remember.
Yeah.
And then in the second one, he was stabbed to death.
Yeah, and that was kind of the end of it, though, right? It ended
Mhm.
there.
Yeah.
So, he got shot. He may still not really be much of a zombie. It may have just been like a, I can't remember. It was a pretty bad shot now that I think about it. So, but he's definitely weaker, right? Like reboot,
Oh yeah.
like Rob Zombie Michael he's like a level 1 Deadite. The Michael Myers we see throughout the original Halloween, leading up to now, which somehow he survived this last one again. I mean, I guess there are 3 different timelines though, right? Because this was like
Yeah.
this erased, like you said, Halloween 5 and onward.
Yeah. 'Cause you've got like the first 6 or 7, and then you've got the one where Jamie Lee Curtis has a son and has had
That's right.
that son for 20 years.
That's right. So let's say,
And
because this forum post was, um, this was a while ago. So it doesn't include the new one. So let's say it does include like that run, that
okay, so
that run. And oh, I forgot to include Boomstick included in both scenarios, 4 shells total. He might have not have even needed the shells in the first one though.
yeah, the
He
first go
just
around, I doubt
just
he's even going to need the
slashed.
shotgun.
Yeah.
Now, when it comes to the other Michael, the one that's not just a person, the uh, uh, the boogeyman, that one he's going to need a lot
Mm.
because I mean, if we remember in the first one, Laurie shoves coat hanger through his eyeball,
Oh,
destroys it. Most people would have bled out, but that's not even where it ended.
or it should have
He was also
lobotomized him at least. Like
what?
it should have at least lobotomized him.
It should have taken him. I mean, if he was a regular person, that would have taken him down. But not just that, he was also shot out of a second story window after that happened and smacked the ground and then took off running like a little freaking field mouse. I'm getting out of here. This bitch is crazy.
And I'm Michael Myers. That's how he talks.
Well, yes. I mean, I don't know. He never talks
Right.
except in the reboot.
Mm. Wait, what does he say in the reboot?
Well, he talks as a child a lot,
Oh yeah,
and then
he
he
cusses. He
says
cusses too.
something as an adult right before he kills the orderly in front of his mom. But that was before he gets out of the asylum.
Yeah, yeah. So what do you say? Like, he survived every kind of. He's Rasputin. He got shot, he got drowned, got stabbed. And he made. So do you think Army of Darkness level Ash with a
Now we're gonna
boomstick,
go
four
Army of
shells?
Darkness level Ash.
Yeah.
Okay. Now here's the thing that I wanted to put out there too. When we're talking about Evil Dead 2 Ash,
Hmm.
you also got to keep in mind um, there's more than one.
All the little
The
ones.
No, there's more than one Ash, like the Ash. Um, in
What you
Evil
talking about,
Dead
AC?
2, huh?
What you talking about, AC?
I'm gonna tell you. So in Evil Dead 2 Returns, there's there's a few different stories where the hand that got lopped off um, is cured and a
Mm.
new Ash spawns from it. And this
Mm.
is when the Ash that we know with the chainsaw arm is thrown back through time. And this Ash, who has both hands, his shotgun, and a chainsaw, comes back and he destroys people like Hitler and monsters and that kind of thing.
Is this in the comics?
hmm Now, that's what I was saying,
Oh.
comics. So if we're gonna go just strictly movie Ash, then even the Army of Darkness Ash, which by copyrights are still two different people.
Oh, right, right.
Yeah,
That's funny.
because Space Goat, I believe Space Goat owns the Evil Dead, and Dynamite owns Army of Darkness.
Okay,
But either
okay.
way, so
But Army of
the
Darkness.
if we're just gonna go straight movie, Army of Darkness, Ash versus it was post reboot Michael
Yeah, no, no, no. Army of Darkness versus pre-boot Michael, like Deadite Michael.
pre-boot. Okay, so like the hardcore you ain't killing him kind of
He's
Michael.
yeah, you've done everything to him, man. He won't stay down. He survived shotguns.
Yeah, he survived decapitation. Well, that we learn later that that wasn't actually him, and that goes
Mm.
into reboot Michael. But
Oh.
that one's really tough. I think it would be a fight, and I think that Ash would definitely hold his own. But uh, while he's taken a lot of undead on, if we don't include the comics, I don't think he would pull it off.
Damn. That's heartbreaking. That's
Yeah.
heartbreaking.
Now, if you include the comic book Ash, oh, absolutely.
Well, he's a
But
cartoon
there's
character.
also, well, yeah, but there's also the Ash versus the Evil Dead Ash from the television series.
Oh, right, right, right.
So if you want to include
Say
that Ash,
he versus the new Michael.
well, see, now they're even matched because that Ash, he died and came right back
Was he a
multiple
Deadite
times
now?
in that series.
Is he a Deadite now?
Technically.
That's crazy. Ash himself, the Deadite. He's like Blade. He is what he hunts.
Well, I mean, if you remember, he started to become a Deadite at the end of Evil Dead, and he fought it
Damn.
out of him.
Damn. All right, so going back through it. Evil Dead Ash versus Rob Zombie, Michael Myers. Ash wins.
Yeah, I believe that. I believe it'd be a fight, but I believe Ash would get him.
And then Army of Darkness Ash versus pre-boot Michael Myers. Michael Myers has it.
Yeah, I just don't see that. While that Ash is a badass, he's hilarious. Michael has that immortality factor there that I don't see Ash getting him.
Right. Shit, man. And then so the new okay, so comic book Ash versus or no, you said the Ash versus the Evil Dead. Or is that it?
Yeah,
The show, the AMC show, right?
yeah, it's Ash versus the Evil Dead.
Ash versus the Evil Dead versus the new Michael Myers. It'd be just a fight forever because they both just be coming back from the dead over and over
Essentially, yeah,
again.
yeah.
Well, that's a pretty good. I'd watch that. I'd pay per view for that. I'd throw 40 bones down to watch that. All three
I mean,
rounds.
what is this Dead by Dawn? You could always see if you could make it happen.
Right? Right. Oh man. Well, I think this has been a good like Halloween themed kind of snide show. We're gearing up for the spoopy. Head over to my channel. I got some spoopy stuff over there. And then head over to AC's channel. He's breaking down some awesome stuff over there. He's got some exciting stuff coming up. So the YouTubes. I'm Corey the Curator.
And AC's Media Mash.
Hell yeah, hell yeah. So we'll catch you then, everyone, and stay snide.